What is up, MMA community? I just want to let you guys know that this podcast may have some graphic language that may not be suitable for all audiences. The listener discretion is advised. Welcome to episode 26 of the BP Mean Gene MMA show. It's been 4 freaking weeks, or 5 weeks it might be now, but how's it been, Mean Gene?
It's been good. Yeah, it's been a long fucking break, man.
Yeah.
And then we're about to get another break with the UFC being off for, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, we took the break too early.
Yeah, exactly.
We had to finish some stuff up with school. Me and Gene got busy. BP got busy, but we're back. Coming fresh off of UFC 256. A lot to talk about from that. Obviously, possibly fighter of the year, possibly fight of the year coming in that main event. But Figueiredo retains the title in a draw over Brandon Moreno. How did you feel Figueiredo did? How did you feel? I know the big topic is that point deduction, but what do you got to say about the main event?
I thought it was a great main event. One of the best, arguably the best flyweight fight that I've ever seen. Figueiredo just, he met his toughest test, I think, to date. Moreno is just tough as nails. And he impressed me, to be honest with you. Moreno impressed me. But Figueiredo, he won that fight. He won 3 rounds to 2, but that point deduction is what killed him and ended up making it a draw. But I was impressed by the fight in general. As for the point deduction, I just wish they would have. He would have given him a warning. I understand that he doesn't technically have to, depending on the severity of the blow. But yeah, man, I thought he should have gave him a warning. I honestly thought it was, a bit excessive to deduct a point like that. So, but yeah, man, I mean, it is what it is. I'm just happy he retained the title. That's the biggest thing. It would have really sucked if he lost that title based off of that point deduction. So I think the UFC would just run it back in the end because it was such a competitive fight. And I think Moreno deserves a rematch 100%, and kind of let the division kind of catch up to those guys. Have Askarov, Pantoja, those guys. I'd like to see Brandon Royval kind of get back in the mix too, because that was a freak accident. I know Dana kind of said the same thing. We're gonna get that kid right back in there. It was a freak accident or whatever. So there's some guys in the mix coming up, and I think by booking Moreno and Figueiredo again, it gives the division time to kind of catch up, with contenders, and also I think it's just deserving a rematch 100%. What about you?
Yeah, I thought the main event was an instant classic, probably the best flyweight. I can't argue with the fact that that was the best flyweight fight we've ever seen. The only one that comes to mind is maybe Dodson versus DJ from back in the day. We were actually at that. BP, me and Gene were there live, but other than that, I can't think of a better fight. And ultimately, I think this fight was better than that one. I apologize for the lag too for everyone.
No question, it was better than that fight. I honestly don't. I'd have to watch that fight back. I don't really remember it, but
yeah, it was a big fight. There's like 3 knockdowns, I think, in one round. I would have to look back at it. But regardless, just phenomenal performance. And I felt like what we saw a lot of Figueiredo really become a champion in the sense that he needed to win that 3rd round after that point was taken away, and he went
It's 11 o'clock.
He went out there,
yeah,
and won that 4th round or 3rd round, and then obviously then he loses the 4th. He knew in order to at least get a draw, he needs to to win that 5th round. He came out and won that 5th round. So I felt like we saw a lot of that championship mentality in Figueiredo for the first time, where we could really see him be tested as a champion. And I think he showed up for the test. And like you said, he won the fight. I mean, he won 3 out of the 5 rounds. Obviously, a point was deducted. We can debate endlessly on whether it should have been taken away or not. Regardless, he won 3 rounds, and Moreno won 2. So makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think that a rematch will favor Moreno in any way. I think it's going to heavily favor Figueiredo.
Yeah.
And I think he might get a finish in that rematch. I'd be interested to see. I know obviously Cody Garbrandt was supposed to come down. I think depending on Moreno's, I don't know what's up with his shoulder. I think if there's a little bit of recovery time with that, I'd be happy seeing Figueiredo take on Garbrandt in the meantime. And ultimately, the reason I like that it turned out being okay, being a draw, because now we have a guaranteed contender for Figueiredo to fight or Cody Garbrandt to fight. I think no matter what, it was good for the flyweights to have that draw. So there's a guaranteed, like, that's a hyped up rematch for him.
Yeah.
No matter what, I think Moreno being just kind of, he can sit on the sidelines and he gets the next title fight no matter what. That will be
Moreno's going to get the next. It's going to be a rematch. They're not going to give it to Cody Garbrandt 100%.
Dana White already confirmed the rematch. I'm saying if Moreno is injured, that's still fine. I think if Moreno's shoulder, he's out for 9 months, they can throw the Garbrandt fight in there, and either way it works out.
Yeah. I hear you on that for sure. Yeah, the Garbrandt for sure is a big fight. No question about that.
Yeah. So beyond the main event, thought again, obviously the flyweights are looking better than they ever have, looking amazing. Two freaking cards in a row they are headlining. But right under that, the people's main event, as some people like to say, Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira, or should I say Charles Oliveira versus Tony Ferguson. He looked amazing. I absolutely dominated him. We've never seen Ferguson be dominated the way he was. How did you take that fight? My main question, Eugene, do you think that this is Tony Ferguson declining, or is Oliveira just that good?
I think it's a combination of both. I think we've seen the evolution of Oliveira. He's just consistently gotten better. We were just waiting to see him how he fared against better competition. And Kevin Lee was a little step up for him, at least at lightweight. I'm saying, because he fought some, he fought some of the who's who at featherweight, but at lightweight, just waiting for him to get tested, and he got tested against Kevin Lee. He passed that test, and then obviously from Kevin Lee to Ferguson, it's a big step up. And man, I felt like he passed it with flying colors. He just dominated Ferguson for the 3 rounds. I don't think he was really ever in trouble, and just super impressed, man. I mean, I picked him. I thought that he would beat Ferguson. I just think he has more tools. And just in combination with the second part where I said it's a combination of both. I also just think Ferguson, after that Justin Gaethje, I think history has shown us, you get into a war with Gaethje, you're really not the same after. And if anything, I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure you lose your next fight.
Single fighter
after Gaethje. So. Yeah, man, he's just old. I mean, people don't realize that, I forget his age. I know he's above 35. I think he's like 36, 37, something like that. And he's been in the game for a while. He's had some wars, and I just think it's kind of caught up to him. The Gaethje beating, and then this. And I think it's also mentally too. I think it's weighing on him mentally. I'm sure he's questioning himself in the sense of training. Some of his coaches, I think he got rid of one of his coaches after the Gaethje fight. So yeah, man, he's a wild man. He's an interesting character as well. As you can see with a lot of his interviews, he's super prideful and things of that nature. So I don't know, man. I think I'm not going to say he's done in the sense of like he can't beat the elite in the division, but I do think he's done in the sense of like he's not going to win a title. He can still beat, top 10 guys 100%. I don't question that. But yeah, he's not the Tony Ferguson that we thought he was. And to be honest with you, after this fight, I know it's kind of crazy because it's Gaethje and then Oliveira, but man, I'm starting to question. I think Khabib would have ran through him. I mean, I really do. After seeing these last two performances,
Oh,
and mainly this one. I mean, Gaethje was just strictly stand up, but yeah, this one I really was just blown away. I just thought, man, if he was in there with Khabib, he would have gotten manhandled. I think so. Um, it sucks. I love Tony Ferguson. One of my favorite fighters. I feel for him that he never got that Khabib fight. I always felt like he was deserving of a true title fight, but at the end of the day, it's how shit works out sometimes in MMA. So,
hmm
but I'm just super super impressed by Oliveira, and can't wait to see what and who the UFC give him next, because I think he can beat all the guys in the top four. He'll have trouble with some. Obviously it's not easy wins for him, but I definitely think he can beat the majority of the guys up there if he gets on a nice little run. So, and all those guys can beat each other. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that top five is just freaking unbelievably stacked. Uh,
yeah.
so the last person that Justin Gaethje has beaten, to kind of cap that off, the last
Mhm.
person that Justin Gaethje has beaten, that went on to win their next fight was in World Series of Fighting. It was Luis Firmino.
Mhm.
Every win that Justin Gaethje has had in the UFC, which is it's 5, so it's not a big pool of wins, but the 5 wins that he has had, he has that fighter has went on to lose, even obviously Tony Ferguson, who was at an
Mhm.
11 fight win streak. So
Interesting.
yeah, it is really interesting. It's almost like the Paul Felder curse.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
so either way, I think those guys in general, to kind of go back off of what you were saying, Tony Ferguson. Um, I don't know if you were to ask me, is he declining? I don't know if I have absolute evidence to say he's declining. This is almost like the Tyron Woodley, right? This is almost like Tyron Woodley loses to Kamaru Usman. Okay, Kamaru Usman's just a beast, and then
Yeah.
Tyron Woodley loses like embarrassingly again to, or in dominant fashion, not embarrassingly, to Gilbert Burns. And then you're like, okay, I think Tyron Woodley's really lost it. And then
Hmm.
he loses to, then when he goes up against Colby, it was like that was the last thing you need to see. You're like, okay, Tyron Woodley is just a shadow of what he was.
Yeah.
And I think we need that one more fight for Tony Ferguson too, just to be sure, because
Mhm.
Charles Oliveira is that. I mean, he truly is. He represents that new generation. Even though I know he's been in the UFC for a long time, he represents that new generation of guys, that's coming up, and they're just fucking beasts everywhere. They will stand up with you. They have phenomenal jujitsu, great takedowns. Um, I mean, this sport is fucking on the rise. It's insane. So, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about with that fight, but that fucking armbar was disgusting. I
Yeah.
literally, we were watching it live, and I knew immediately as soon as he got him in the armbar, I'm like, fuck, a joint submission. Because I'm thinking, if I want to see Tony Ferguson lose by a submission, I want to see him get choked out because he'll just go out cold. But fucking joints, I knew he wouldn't tap. Luckily, obviously, the round ended, but that could have been really nasty. It would have looked like Tim Sylvia, that type of thing. It's not going to tap, but how tough of a fucking guy will go out on his shield no matter what.
Yeah, man. That was insane. I thought his arm was gonna break.
It has to be
It was guaranteed to break. I mean, once he got it under his armpit, when Oliveira got Ferguson's arm under his armpit, I thought that thing was breaking. So
me too. Yeah, I
Tony's
mean
tough,
it
man.
hyperextended about as far as it can go without breaking. So yeah, that shit. I know something has to be torn or strained in there. There's no way his arm is out of that
Yeah.
normal. That's got to be a messed up. And then he pops right back up. I don't know. He's not human.
No, he's not.
Ferguson is not a human. But either way, unfortunately got dominated. But I'd love to see, I think, a fight with Dan Hooker or a fight um, with Paul Felder, I like that prospect. Both coming off a loss, and it's crazy. I know I might sound crazy saying this. I'd be cool with him fighting Michael Chandler next because he hasn't been tested yet in the UFC. It might be a good idea to give Chandler.
Oh, Michael Chandler.
Yeah, it might be cool to give Michael Chandler that name, to kind of fight Tony Ferguson, and you can kind of launch off that, or Tony Ferguson get a win back under your belt to a guy who wasn't winning, who didn't even win a belt, or was not the champion in Bellator when he left. So I think it would be an interesting fight. And obviously Tony Ferguson would take it, but I don't know what direction the UFC is going to go with Chandler. Obviously, he was the backup to the main event with Ferguson, what was supposed to be Ferguson and Khabib, but you never know with the UFC. What are they going to do with Chandler? I'm not sure. A lot of people are thinking Gaethje versus Chandler. I don't like that. I think Gaethje should just get the winner of Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
But I'd love to fucking see a tournament. That's what I'd love to see. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, that I would like to see that too. I like to just see Gaethje get the only thing is Gaethje obviously can have a quick turnaround because he didn't really take any damage in that Khabib fight.
Yes.
So and Chandler's looking to fight. Obviously, he came in and he made weight for as a backup for that Khabib fight. So I mean, he's ready. Gaethje's probably ready. So I do think the UFC is going to end up booking those two guys together. But I do agree that I think for the UFC, it should just be Gaethje should be next in line to fight the winner of McGregor and Poirier. But
yeah, I think, and a lot of this goes right into kind of what we're going to talk about with the Dana White interview. A lot of this we'll know the answer in January, and he'll know the answer in January. I have a feeling he's going to talk to Khabib, and Khabib isn't coming back, but that changes everything. If Khabib's coming back, then Gaethje won't get that. It'll essentially be Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor will be the next title contender, especially if McGregor wins. Then obviously the next title contender, and then Gaethje would take on someone like Chandler or Oliveira. I think would be who Gaethje for sure will take on. And then from there we would kind of have someone else come up. I can also see in a crazy world with Khabib coming back and saying the only person I'll take is Oliveira because he's beaten everyone else. But it's fucking Khabib. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't see it. I think he wants a big name. I mean, for 30-0, I think it's like a Mayweather, type of thing. I know Mayweather like retired 49-0. He came back, fought Conor, just for the money and the name. Easy fight to get to 50.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same, but I'm more going after like a name. He just wants a big fight with GSP.
GSP is a big prospect.
But I don't know if they can get that done. But I just think either Gaethje waits or just I'm cool with Chandler versus Gaethje. I think Gaethje should just fight the winner of Poirier and McGregor, especially if it's McGregor. I would love to see that fight. There'd be a lot of heat behind that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean Chandler's pretty much ready to go. So I just think Ferguson, Dan Hooker is cool. I don't want to see him fight Paul Felder. I don't think he's fallen that far, even though Paul Felder is still top 10. I think Ferguson, give him one, it's the same thing. It's literally what you had said with Woodley. I think you hit it on the head with Woodley. He fights the champ. I know Justin wasn't technically the champ. He was fighting for the title, right, for the interim. So he loses that. Then he, like you say, comes back against this hot, up-and-coming prospect, Gilbert Burns, and then Charles Oliveira is there. And then next up is, for Woodley was Colby, who's still kind of in the mix. So I'd like to see Tony get like a Dan Hooker or Michael Chandler. I'd love to see him do a Michael Chandler. And that's pretty much it, man. I mean, there's no one else. I mean, has he fought Poirier before? I don't think so, no. So like if Poirier loses to Conor, I'd like to see that Poirier versus Ferguson. Do something like that, and then after that, where he stands. I'm saying if Poirier loses, like what are you gonna do with him then?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. The only thing is, I would just say, why wouldn't you just do Hooker and Ferguson now then? I don't know. It
Yeah,
depends also because his arm is probably fucked. I mean,
if they can do it, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with Ferguson versus Dan Hooker. I'm okay with that, but that's it. I wouldn't go any lower than that. That's the only person I would let him fight. Other than that, I feel like he should still be fighting, top 5 guys. So yeah. Anyways,
yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if Ferguson is. Yeah, his resume before that was good. It just wasn't like I don't. It wasn't Dustin Poirier's on the way there, as I know, which is kind of. It sounds like revisionist history, but I was saying this going into that Gaethje fight before we even before he lost. So either way, I think that yeah, Ferguson. I agree. I think he needs at least just one more. Give him one more chance, and then that's it. Like that will be. I agree with Helwani, who said this was a crossroads fight. I do agree. I think this pretty much told us he's never going to win a title, unfortunately.
yeah,
But it did. What it didn't tell us is he done? Is he pretty much just Tyron Woodley? He should go find something else to do.
yeah. So we'll find out.
So we'll find out with that. But going right into that, do you think? What was I just about to say? Jeez, I feel like we're so low energy right now.
Rusty, you said?
Yeah, well, I said low energy, but rusty
Oh,
too.
low energy.
Yeah, pretty much what I had was we were talking about Dana White, Khabib, in the world that, let's say Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, Dana White talks, Khabib is vacating the belt. What do you think happens next? Let's say Conor McGregor beats Dustin Poirier.
Then he fights Gaethje.
And
If
then
Gaethje is a fight, or if Gaethje's booked against Chandler, then the winner of that fight fights. It's pretty much a little mini tournament. So it's just either Justin Gaethje gets the fight against the winner of Conor and Poirier, or they just do Gaethje and Chandler, and the winner of that ends up fighting the winner of Poirier McGregor. That's it. There's no other scenario in that sense. I don't think they're going to give it to Oliveira. I don't think Oliveira's not just going to jump the line and fight him.
I don't know if the line should
time. It's just timing wise. I just like Oliveira literally just fought, and then next month there's another. Next month there's a big lightweight fight. I mean, he's not the odd man out. It was an impressive performance, but I just feel like the UFC is going to make him fight one. They're going to make him fight one more time. They're going to make him fight like a
Justin. He needs one more time, but he doesn't get the. I don't know. I don't know if he gets jumped by. I think he might get jumped by. I think he will get jumped by Chandler, but I wouldn't throw out the possibility that he could jump Chandler because Chandler hasn't proven anything in the UFC.
He's not fighting. No, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying if this isn't the only scenario, these are the only 2 scenarios or 3 scenarios. It's just the winner of Poirier and Conor McGregor will fight the winner of Justin Gaethje and Chandler. So at that point, if Chandler beats Gaethje, then Chandler is the rightful number 1 contender. Yes. They're not just going to. It's not going to be just Chandler sitting out and he's all of a sudden getting a title fight. No, I agree. He's not going to jump Oliveira.
I don't think that happens either. I was saying I could see Oliveira versus Gaethje happening as well instead of Chandler versus Gaethje. Or
I could see that too for sure.
What I think most likely will happen is the UFC is not going to book a Chandler versus Gaethje until the conversation with Khabib. So in this context where Khabib says, "No, I'm still retired," and they have that answer, I think for sure Gaethje they'll leave Gaethje to fight the winner, and then they'll book Chandler versus Oliveira. That would be the fight.
Yeah, they could do that. Yeah,
and then that'll be the number 1 contender.
I have to figure it out because they have an odd amount of fighters, vying for that belt. They have 5 fighters, so one of them they have to figure something out. They don't have an even 6. Because Dos Anjos, I don't consider like if you want to do Dos Anjos versus Tony Ferguson, that's fine too. Just because Dos Anjos was the former champion, he's moving up. That's another fight that you could do to make it.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair fight for Dos Anjos. But yeah,
They-
Hooker to me is not title. Like I like Dan Hooker. I don't think he's ever gonna win a title like legitimately. So I wouldn't. I don't consider him amongst the elite. When he fought,
but they're gonna give Ferguson a guy off of a loss.
So Dan Hooker works for sure.
That's what I'm saying Dan Hooker. That's why I think Dan Hooker or Paul Felder. I think Paul Felder would be a really exciting fight.
Yeah, I think it's just too low for him.
RDA. The RDA is off of a win. They're going to keep that momentum going forward.
Yeah, I don't know who he's going to fight though. That's the problem. I mean, there's no one unless they're going to unless Diego Ferreira fights Dos Anjos, which I would love. I think it's a great fight. But or you just rebook now that he won Dos Anjos. Now you book him against Makhachev. Now it makes even more sense for him to fight Makhachev, because that was the original booking before Paul Felder stepped in.
Yeah, because
Islam at the end of the day, Islam Makhachev is the future champ. Like, there's just facts. In my opinion, he's the future champ of that division. Like,
I think he'll do well, but I'm not sure if that's facts.
I think it's pretty much guaranteed. This dude, he's mini Khabib, man. Like, he's mini Khabib. Yeah. That's why I want to see him against Dos Anjos. They were trying to give him that step up in competition, and whatever, he got COVID, or it wasn't COVID, it was something else that he had. So, but I don't know, we could go round and round on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the fact that Makhachev is coming up. I think he is going to be a fucking beast. Yeah, I want to see him fight Kevin Lee. I don't think that fight's going to be made. It just doesn't make sense. Kevin Lee coming off of those losses. But with Charles Oliveira sitting there, I mean, I don't know if you're going to put him above. I don't know if you're gonna if he will necessarily beat Charles Oliveira, but I know, and that's the prospect of that fight in the future. I mean, that is the next generation of. I'm sure. I truly believe that will be a title fight at one point at the lightweight division. It's Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev, but
yeah, I wouldn't put those two together right now. Makhachev isn't.
No.
Yeah, no. Makhachev is still climbing in that sense. He hasn't fought any names. That's why the Dos Anjos was the perfect fight for him. So, Makhachev could. Yeah.
I don't like that. See, RDA is ranked above Charles Oliveira right now.
Well, that's for right now. They need to change.
Hold on, let me make sure these rankings are still correct. It may have not been refreshed. Yeah, I believe they have. Yeah, it is. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, Charles Oliveira is ranked number 3. That's what I thought.
Connor dropped again, which is good. I'm happy.
Yeah, Connor's at 5. He was at 4. So that was so Dan Hooker's right outside that top 5. I don't think that's a bad fight at all for Tony Ferguson. I don't know who else he'd fight.
That's fine. No, I agree. Dan Hooker versus Ferguson is fine. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Dos Anjos versus Hooker or Dos Anjos versus Ferguson. I'm fine with either of those. Ferguson over Hooker, like they're gonna be standing up. It's a get right fight for Ferguson. Like, have you declined that much? Because if you can't beat Dan Hooker, you're done. 100%. You're done.
Dan Hooker is a fucking beast. I mean,
he's good.
Dustin Poirier. It's almost like we're forgetting him and Dustin Poirier had a super fucking back and forth.
Yeah, he looked. No, I know he looked good against him, but I love Paul Felder. Like, I love him as a fighter, but it's Paul Felder.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to say. I mean, I know some people would say that he, whatever, he lost that fight. But yeah, that fight was just super close, man. I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion of it. I think the elite of the elite in that division.
Paul Felder, what are you talking about?
Dan Hooker fought Paul Felder, and it was a razor thin decision for Hooker. And I'm saying Paul Felder to me is L.I. and Quinta at best. That's Paul Felder.
Why are you giving so much props to RDA then? He just beat Paul Felder.
No, I'm just saying, like, but RDA already has his resume. He was a former champion. He's fought the who's who.
Yeah, but
It,
then he was losing, comes down to lightweight. His only win is on Paul Felder recently.
yeah, I know. So what do you? I don't get what
What
you're
I'm
saying.
saying is like you're saying, nah, Dan Hooker not really good. RDA, he's a beast. Like
Yeah, but Dan Hooker has. I'm saying the right. Like Dan Hooker hasn't fought anyone, and that's why I'm bringing this up. Like Dan Hooker hasn't beaten anyone. I guess is what I'm saying.
yeah,
That's even worth that. He beat Barboza. No, he lost to Barboza. Dan Hooker lost to
yeah,
Barboza.
he got knocked out by Barboza.
I guess I'm trying to just show that this guy is like more of he's a fun fighter. He's talented. Like
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
agree.
and Paul Felder is even lower than Dan Hooker in that sense. Paul Felder to me is just a gatekeeper at lightweight. He's never getting a title.
Just
He's been
we're
a
never
solid,
gonna be able to interview any of these guys. I said we'll never be able
oh,
to
interview
interview any
guy.
of these guys.
But yeah, so the elite for me, the elite for me is the top five. I mean, those that to me is the top is the elite.
Yeah,
Obviously, Tony Ferguson just lost, but Tony Ferguson to me is like, he technically could be five, and Conor McGregor be a four. I don't, whatever. They're
yeah, in the mix
interchangeable.
of,
What I'm just saying is like
yeah.
those five guys can hold a title. The guys below them can't slash are still coming up.
Hmm.
You know, I'm looking at right now the top 15 guys. The guys that are below Dos Anjos, Diego Ferreira and Islam Makhachev. Those are the two guys that I think could like legitimately
Are
end
gonna
up
be
being
top fives in the future. I agree.
top fives and can contend for a title. Other than that, everyone else is just like middle of the road. So
I agree. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, not everyone can be a UFC champion. I think a lot of these guys will be like great fighters that never won a title, or they might move divisions, whatever it is.
yeah,
Um, and I think that Fajeda is a perfect example of someone who I think will always be in that top five, but can't reach that summit.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, ultimately that's the lightweights. The other big fight that we had was John D. Roba and Mackenzie Dern. It would have been fight of the night, I think, had the main event obviously not happened. But pretty good fight. I think not much to say about it. Mackenzie Dern won. John D.
yeah,
Rover looked really good. Their jujitsu kind of canceled it out and kept the fight on the feet for the most part. But two girls that are looking like, they're some more in already the most stacked division. That's the more interesting, or even more interesting females coming up in that strawweight division for
yeah. I
obviously the
I
champion being
I don't have much.
Shogun.
I don't have much to say to be honest with you. I mean, Mackenzie Dern, she is getting better. You can see her stand-ups getting better, but
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, for me, it was the Fiziev. That was the more impressive fight for that one. It was Fiziev versus Moicano. Fiziev looks like he's legit at 155. The guy is a super diverse striker. Moicano's legit. So it was a nice win for him. Undefeated in 2020. Gets a pretty big name. Moicano's definitely a known name. So I'm like super excited to see where he goes. He's definitely like top 10. Yeah, easily top 10 prospects in the UFC right now. So that was huge. That was a great performance by him.
Yeah,
And then the one that was even more impressive than that was the Kevin Holland. I
I
mean,
was just yeah, I was just about to get right into that. Kevin Holland looked amazing. But go ahead.
yeah, no, 5-0 in 2020.
Third fighter in UFC history to do that.
Yeah,
5.
insane, dude. And then fighting, sometimes he's fighting, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, whatever it is. So man, like, big props to Kevin Holland. Really like him. And the one thing I continue to be impressed by him because that Darren Stewart, obviously he's a striker. He knocks out Buckley with that fucking beautiful straight right down the pipe.
Yeah.
Um, and Buckley looks like he's one of the better UFC fighters too. He still has. Let's see where he goes. Obviously, he needs to fight some stiffer competition. But so he's riding that wave of knocking out Buckley in spectacular fashion. Man, he fights Darren Stewart, and gets taken down multiple times and is having trouble on the ground. So you start to wonder, like, this guy is a fun, exciting, fighter, but can he handle the wrestling, the grappling? And that's always, for me, that's the one thing that's always devastating when you watch a fighter that's like really good on the feet, spectacular, but then when they're taken down, it's like they don't know what they're doing and shit. It's like, damn, man, if you just had some ground game, you'd be actually pretty damn fucking good in the UFC or have some success. And I'm rambling, but Darren Stewart, you start to worry about that. And man, since then, I mean, he has just looked great. I forget who he fought after Darren. I can pull up after Darren Stewart, but man, Jacare, you're fighting a vet. You're fighting a guy that primarily wants to get the fight to the ground. You're fighting a guy that's super tough. And then you just go and then you get taken down and you're better than him on the ground. It's not even the knockout that you're better than him. Like your transitions, you were throwing up fucking triangle chokes. Like, man, he looked good on the ground. And yeah, man. I mean, shit. I mean, he's definitely, for me, he's definitely in the top 10 of UFC prospects, 100%.
For sure. Yeah.
And I can't wait to see who they give him next, especially after Souza. He's talking about Derek Brunson. He's been, I don't know if he's going back with Derek Brunson, but he just mentioned that he wanted to fight him. And I think that's a perfect fight for him, like a perfect step up from Souza. So,
yeah, I just watched an interview with Kevin Holland and Chael Sonnen actually did that interview. And super interesting just how he was talking about how Jacare's top pressure felt a lot like Travis Lutter, his coach. Travis Lutter, I mean, obviously phenomenal jiu-jitsu guy himself. So I think he's got a good trainer. So
a wrestler, yeah.
That helped him so much with the kind of the BJJ side. And he's just a dynamic striker. You know what it reminded me of? And not that they're on the same level, but when Adesanya got taken down by Gastelum, and you're like, oh, and then he was just phenomenal, throwing up triangles. It was the same type of thing. He used his length, he pushed his dude away, and he made him pay. He made him pay for taking him down. He would take an elbow to the head or whatever. As long as he's able to get that distance with his legs, he's able to hit him with those hard strikes from the bottom. And he looked phenomenal. But that's what it reminded me most of, was that Kelvin Gastelum versus Adesanya fight where we saw Adesanya on the ground for the first time, legitimately on the ground against a legit ground guy. So I think with that being said, also with the Derek Brunson thing, I think I would love to see that next for him. But I'd also love to see a lot of I mean, Marvin Vettori would be a good one. I'd love to see him against Darren Till next. There's a lot of good spots for Kevin Holland, and it makes that middleweight division a lot more interesting now. So
yeah,
it's kind of dry for a little bit, and it's a little bit interesting. It's a lot more interesting now. So, but the Brunson thing was essentially Brunson asked him to be a training partner one time for the Adesanya fight, but he couldn't do it. And then he came in his DMs again and said that if he ever tried that slam on him, if he ever tried that on him, he would get he would slam him on his head or something like that. So, and Holland was pretty much saying maybe in the grapplers world, like maybe he was just fucking with me, but as a striker, he was just saying that he felt like, he's always down to fight. And this dude, he's calling him out. He said he took that. If someone comes at me sideways, I'm down to fight him. So that's why he's been calling out Brunson, because he kind of felt disrespected or whatever by what he said.
Yeah, Brunson's been on a little run too. So I think it's a great matchup if they end up fighting.
Me too. And Brunson's always been, or at least as of recently, has been that test, that litmus test for the up and coming middleweights. So I'd love to see that fight.
Yeah, I think it's man, it makes itself. It's so simple. It's so easy. Brunson's a 7, Kevin Holland's number 10. They're both on winning streaks. It's perfect, man. You're not taking a step backwards. Marvin Vettori, I don't want him to fight Marvin because
not yet.
You don't want to wipe out two prospects in that two younger prospects in that division. So keep those guys separate until they have to fight. But yeah, man, it's super impressed by him. So that to me was like, besides the Oliveira, I thought Oliveira won the night for sure.
Me too.
And I think Kevin Holland was second.
Me
So,
too. Yeah,
and again, Kevin Holland second on the night and second with Fighter of the Year. I think he deserves, I think he deserves votes for Fighter of the Year. Obviously, it's going to be Figueiredo, no question. You literally cannot argue against Figueiredo. I think he's what,
4-0 this year, or 3-0 this year.
3-1 or 3-0-1 because it's a draw.
Yeah, 3-0-1.
Yeah. So I mean, technically only had won the title and then defended it. But man, dude, he wiped out Benavidez for the title, but missed weight. Then wiped him out a second time, got the title, and then wiped out Perez. I mean, it's clear cut. He's for sure Fighter of the Year. So,
And
but
3 finishes, right? I mean,
big things for Holland, though. What'd you say?
I think in 3 finishes too.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and how crazy is that? Like, you look back to January of who Figueiredo was in the eye of the common fan, and
I
who
know.
he closes out the year, most likely Fighter of the Year, one of the best fights of the year, and as the 2 headlines 2 pay-per-views in a row to close out the year.
Yeah, man, and where people are actually believing that this dude is a exciting champion,
Yeah,
and here to stay. He's always had spectacular fights or performances, I should say, and you always knew that he was probably going to get to that spot if the UFC kept the division around. But I mean, it's just insane, just the amount of press he's getting, the press, the hype, all that shit. I like it, and I'm right there with everyone else, man. I believe in Figueiredo. I feel like he can reign for a while. So I'm really happy. I love watching him fight. I mean, he's as what's his face? Dan Fight Picks has brought up on numerous podcasts. He made the flyweight division great again, and for real. I mean, I think he has. I mean, the guy,
Right.
even though DJ is a great, and DJ is going to go down as one of the greatest, arguably the greatest flyweight of all time, and then one of the greatest fighters in general of all time. But he never was doing shit like this, man. I mean, I'm sorry to say. He had a couple, with the knockout of Benavidez, the armbar on Ray Borg,
Yep.
that type of shit. But for the most part, he wasn't doing this. Like Figueiredo goes in there, he's in there with bad intentions.
Yeah. There's an aura about Figueiredo that's, and you know what I think too is that Figueiredo, I know I feel like I say his name weird. Figgy is, he seems beatable. He makes mistakes in fights. Where DJ just seems like that Mike Tyson thing came over where he's just never gonna lose. Where Figgy, every time he comes in, you're like, well, he overshoots his strikes. A lot of times leaves his head open, like we saw a lot in this fight. And then there's like, well, we don't know his gas tank. Like there's so many questions around Figgy, but he always is. He's exciting. He goes out there and you might see a finish in the first round. Many times you see a finish in the first round. So he's everything that they need, and he's a character too. He's got that story about the sushi chef and about being a hairstylist. He's got that red stripe in his hair. He's like he goes to war when he goes in that octagon. I love it. I love him as a champion. One of my favorite fighters coming up right now as a champion. One of my favorite champions.
Agreed. I agree with you.
And how, like, looking at the flyweights, you look at DJ, Henry Cejudo, and then Figueiredo. So like, it's crazy. Like, as this is a division that was kind of like, oh, we might get rid of this. And the 3 champions in a row, the reign being the flyweight champion in the UFC puts you in such great company.
Yeah.
Accomplishments that have been able to be made. So I don't
big,
know. I think he's got a large, very tall ceiling.
Yeah, big things for him ahead. I really feel that. So
Yeah, well, speaking of, we kind of brought it up a little bit earlier with that Dana White interview. Dana White did an interview. I forget her name. The British lady. What is her name again? Do you remember?
I don't know, from BC Sports. I don't know.
Well, yeah. So either way, She's a great interview. She interviews Dana White, and just did that end of the year kind of a lot of looking forward to 2021, recap on this year a little bit, and there's a lot of good things that came out of that interview. Number one, I thought was just a nice little. I'll go through a little quick machine gun through these bullet points.
Mhm.
60 fighters being cut. I thought it was nice that he kind of like cleared that up a little bit. I know a lot of people were complaining about that because earlier in the year, Dana White was saying, "Hey, we haven't let go of anyone," but
They're fools.
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying they're fools. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Who
The
is?
backlash or whatever,
Oh,
just
I
the
know.
conversation
Yeah.
around that. I mean,
Yes.
they weren't cutting people during the year, so what did you think was going to happen? They normally cut people throughout the year, every few weeks, every whatever it is. There's always a few fighters that are cut. They didn't do it. They kept everyone on the roster,
Yep.
and Dana's going to say for the benefit of the fighters. I believe him to some degree, but also to the benefit of the organization. You don't know who's going to get COVID. You have to fill all of these events, these cards. So
Yep.
um, it was a benefit to both sides in that sense. So yeah,
Yep.
of course people were going to get cut, and um, yeah. So
And I love that he brought up how they have given fighters $200 million as a result of not closing due to the pandemic. I thought that was just a great thing to say in the interview for all the people
uh-huh.
giving them so much shit who also then say they care so much about fighter pay. It's like
Mhm.
you didn't want us to do this, so fighters wouldn't have been paid. Oh well, you should
Yeah,
have just paid the fighters. Okay, well we would have already had to cut 50% of our staff. Like
yeah,
some people have these like idealistic, unrealistic, or ideas or assumptions on things, and it's like I don't think you understand how promotions or how business works.
yeah. I was just gonna say all these fake, math majors.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they have no idea, man. They have no idea how this shit works. And
Fake math.
so we're supposed to not hold events, but then we're supposed to pay fighters, but then not cut the fighters. Like, how does that work? It doesn't even add up.
Yeah,
So
this is why these people are getting paid whatever it
yeah,
is per article instead of
yeah,
being
man.
upper managers at these large promotions.
Yeah, 100%. And then just before we get off of that, the cuts, I thought I saw some on. I think Yoel brought this up. He was on with Ariel Hawani to wrap up the cuts that he had said they wanted to give him Brunson and someone else, Brunson and I forget the other fighter they wanted him to fight. Not even big names. It was Brunson and it doesn't matter. I forget the other one they wanted him to fight. I'm looking right now. I don't even see. Oh, Uriah Hall. That's who it was. It
Hmm.
was Brunson Uriah Hall, and he's like, "What? Like, no way. It doesn't make any sense for me to fight these guys because he feels like again." And you saw with him getting signed by Bellator, he's a big name, and obviously his performances haven't matched that big name at times recently.
Hmm.
But I do agree for him to be fighting like a Brunson or Uriah Hall. That's more for Kevin Holland to be doing, not
Yeah,
you all Romero. You
I
try to figure something else out with him. So whether it's him going up to 205 or whatever it is, but you don't put him up against these gatekeepers. So he ended up getting released, and it's understandable. I mean, I'm sure he was difficult. He wasn't accepting those fights, and then the UFC just realized, like, listen, man, your past performances, like the past few, have not been good at all.
Mhm.
Paulo Costa, I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. Well, no, Paulo Costa was a good one. I
Yeah,
was thinking,
Paul is out of something.
yeah, my bad. I was thinking my bad. I have a brain fart right here. Um, obviously Adesanya, but there was another one that wasn't even that good recently. It doesn't matter, but long story short, he's getting paid a lot of fucking money. He's old, 43. He's gonna fall off at some point. So it was cool. I mean, I'd love to see him. He deserves to be in the UFC, but man, let him go to Bellator. Let Bellator get some shine, man. I'm happy with that signing by Bellator. It's a great signing by Bellator.
Yeah, and I mean, perfect example or kind of shooting ahead here on my list, but Romero versus Rumble. I mean, I love it for Bellator. I know originally they weren't super interested in Romero, but with signing Rumble, I mean, at 205, Romero versus Rumble Johnson. I mean, that's a huge fight to make. Both of them were always the feared competitor in their division. I mean, Michael Bisping, I know a lot of people hate us for saying this, but Michael Bisping legit was avoiding Romero when he
Yeah.
was champion. And obviously then Whitaker fucking took on the Beast and was able to beat him, just like much like DC was able to take on the Beast and beat him in Rumble, but they're still the most feared guys in their divisions. And wow, that will be a huge fight for Bellator. But I know Bellator, the image for Bellator, they don't really like of again, they're trying to get away from this picking up UFC sloppy seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I mean, there is still a market for that, and Bellator is able to fill that market for the big fights that never would have happened in the UFC or never could have happened in the UFC.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly, with those two, with Johnson and Romero, I think you just let it happen, because who the hell knows what's going to happen with Johnson coming off of that long layoff.
Yeah, exactly.
I would just throw those two in. I mean,
Yeah, I
obviously,
wouldn't tiptoe. Go ahead.
yeah, the fans want to see it. It should be a spectacular fight. Someone's going to get knocked out, and yeah, don't miss that boat, because people are super excited about it right now. It's not even booked. Coker hasn't even been mentioned, rumored, anything. It's just online. People have been talking about how great of a fight that would be. Just do it for the fans. It'll be a massive card for them too. I mean, they're going to get a lot of publicity for that, and just based around the UFC schedule. As crazy as it sounds, UFC is notorious for like finding some random event that they throw together when they see that Bellator's got a big card. But man, if they could fucking Bellator could find a weekend when the UFC is 100% not gonna have an event and put that on, that'd be great.
And you know what though, with ESPN, with their recent deal with ESPN, the UFC hasn't been able to just throw shit together like they used to. It's more like they throw shit together even when something is just going downhill. Like we saw with that card a few weeks ago when Curtis Blades went out. It was already a shitty card. Then Curtis Blades gets COVID. That fight is scrapped, and then obviously Anthony Smith is the main event. Which I love Anthony Smith, but I can't remember the guy who's fighting. I mean, it was just
Anthony Smith?
Yeah. Who did Anthony Smith fight a few weeks ago? See, that's the problem. There you go. So
no, I know who it is.
I know
dad's always yelling in his corner.
I can't remember the dude's name for some reason.
They call him whatever, his dad calls him Big Brown or whatever the hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyways.
Either way, my point is that card, they just kept it going. That's the only time the UFC really throws something together. Usually their schedule is booked out pretty ahead of time.
Yeah.
So I think once January happens, that Conor McGregor fight happens, we'll see a big schedule get released by the UFC.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially because they like to use the big pay-per-views as like a little promotion for their upcoming cards. So yeah, we'll see a lot of that. With that being said, the other thing outside of that I was super excited about was Jon Jones. Dana White talked to Jon Jones, said it was one of the best conversations they've had in his entire career. I'm fucking pumped for him to go up to heavyweight. Everything to me points to a new motivated Jones. He's less like, I don't know. I'm excited to see Jones come in there. He's motivated. This to him, like what has been his biggest goal, he's been saying his whole career, what keeps him motivated, he wants to be the greatest of all time. This to him, I feel like he feels is cementing him as the greatest of all time. You will not see a more motivated Jon Jones. This is his ultimate goal. So
I agree 100% with everything you said. I was super encouraged by what Dana said, that now the relationship is the best it's been in 10 years.
Yeah.
And that he, as well as, the two of us, I know for sure, feel like he's motivated. And again, I'm saying the same thing you said. He's just looking to solidify himself as the greatest of all time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. And I do like how he said that Jon is not going to jump over Francis for the title, because that is that, besides the Tony Ferguson not getting the Khabib, that is like the most egregious
a
thing
hundred.
that's happened in MMA. And I know the Tony Ferguson thing is just a lot of it's just bad luck, and it's not on the UFC per se. But man, the Francis Ngannou, they have been doing him bogus, man. And yeah, man, and part of it is now is just Stipe. Stipe is just listen, man. He is one of the greats. I get it, you know, especially arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time. I don't even know if it's a debate. I know obviously Fedor. It's just him and Fedor, so I guess it is a debate. But what I'm saying is, man, this dude is just. I don't like him. I don't know what else to say about it, man. I don't like the way he operates. I don't like he rests on his side job as if he's all high and mighty. Listen, I love first responders. I respect the fuck out of him, what he does and how he's come up. I really do, but it's almost like he uses that shit as a crutch now and doesn't fight. You know, he just holds onto the fucking belt and doesn't fight. So
He fights
I'm
once
hoping.
a year.
I'm hoping the UFC forces his hand soon because when whoever that interviewer was asked Dana like when do you think it's going to happen, and he's like, yeah, we don't know yet. It's just it's a travesty, man. That shit should guarantee be first quarter, and not even first quarter in the sense of April
So,
or pardon me,
like February and March.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was just gonna say it should be March in my personal opinion or February. It's a joke. So.
I agree. I think it's yeah. Jones is almost there, dude. He's one. What does he weigh now? 240,
I have no idea.
something like that. He was saying, looks fucking phenomenal. So yeah, we need it, and that's the problem. And I think that that they're having issues trying to schedule this with Stipe because
Yep.
Dana White said, "Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to figure that out because he's not jumping over Ngannou. That shouldn't even be a problem. It should just be Ngannou versus Stipe, first quarter, middle of the year, Jones versus Stipe. But
Yep.
he's not confident that it's going to happen in the first quarter because he's not sure how that's going to work. So,
Yeah.
and
And
no way Jones doesn't get a title shot right away. That'd be bullshit.
maybe they skip. Well, no, yeah, he has to get a title shot
Yeah,
with the first fight. There's no way. Just even it's not even smart for the UFC to even have John Jones not fight for the title
no,
for
it
his
doesn't
first
make
fight
sense.
at heavyweight. So yeah, man, I'm just glad they're on the same page because
Me too.
that relationship was a little rocky and so I think they've got the money squared away. I think they have the opponent or opponents you're squared away. So it's just about getting fucking Stipe in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see Stipe. What would be super interesting too is Stipe kind of having that DC Jones connection where DC can't win up and fought him, and then if Stipe can get through Ngannou a second time, he would have that Jones coming up and fighting him. Very interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I'm calling that now.
I
I
think
think I even
Ngannou wins.
I think I called it before. I think Ngannou beats Stipe, man. He's way better than he was the first time they
Me too.
matched up.
And Ngannou has realized like dude fucking hits harder than Mack Truck.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden like if shit hits the fan, he just can swing, and if one lands, it's fucking lights out. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a human being alive that Ngannou cannot knock out. I truly believe that.
Yeah. And I just, for the people that would say, well, we have to see if he can stop takedowns and things of that nature. I know with Kane, he did a decent job
Yeah.
for whatever the 30 seconds or minute that he was threatening a takedown. I just think it's not even about is he a better wrestler per se. It's more about the technique because if you remember, he hit Stipe in that first fight with some bombs, but
Yeah.
just he gassed, because Stipe's not really a wrestler. I mean, don't get me wrong, he will wrestle if he has to. He can grapple,
Yeah.
but he's more just stand up. He's gonna bang with you, and he was smart enough to take Ngannou down, wear on him, but. I mean, he got rocked by Ngannou, and I just think technique-wise, Ngannou, his striking, his technique-wise is way better.
For
And he's
sure.
just cerebral now when it comes to fighting. He's not going in there rushing trying to knock you out. I think you saw that with the Rosenstrike. He let Rosenstrike come in on him, and he just fucking pinpoint, boom,
Exactly.
hit
And
him.
Rosenstrike is a legit striker.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's not get in the weeds on this shit, but just I do have Ngannou beating, and I can't wait for the odds to come out because Stipe will. I do think he'll be the favorite.
Well, he'll definitely be the favorite. Yeah.
So I'm gonna jump on Ngannou.
So that's the point. To cap off on that, though, I do think how much, like you mentioned, he took a bunch of bombs from Ngannou in the first fight. So in that second fight, can he take those again? I don't know. After the wars with DC, I don't know if he's going to be able to handle that. I don't know if he can handle the bombs again.
Yeah,
I mean, it will take years off of your career.
Yeah,
so
we'll see.
It'll be interesting, and then it'll be fucking super interesting. Either way, Ngannou versus Jones is interesting. Stipe versus Jones is interesting. I think Ngannou versus Jones is more dangerous, but that's where sometimes Jones will that's when he shows up. The most dangerous fights.
Yeah.
So
either way, he's gonna end up getting Ngannou or he's gonna get the winner of Ngannou and Stipe. So
yeah, exactly. So other than that, another thing, two more things that came out of that conversation was Thug Rose, Rose Namajunas. Obviously, it seems like she doesn't want that title fight again, which I know we have kind of talked about before on this show. But yeah, which it makes sense to me. I know she didn't like the pressure of being champion and everything. So the UFC obviously then moving on to what might be Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili. Not super interesting at all. For what was like, holy shit, we're gonna have Rose Namajunas fighting Zhang Weili, this fight we've been wanting in that division. Now it's kind of like, well, fuck. Now what do we get? So
yeah, it's gonna be Esparza probably because of the name too. I think, but I want to see. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Is Yan
Zianan or
Jiananan. That would be a great fight, and for China too. If they can get the fight over in China, it'd be big for the UFC. But I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, Rose is Rose. Just Rose is Rose. It's annoying as fuck, but Rose is Rose.
Yeah.
But whatever she's got going on mentally, it's just the one thing I can say about her after all these years. Like, she's not bullshitting now at this point.
Yeah, she's not.
Even with the Conor McGregor thing, is like that was super ridiculous. I just saw some article saying she just recently got over that bus attack. Like, what? This dude wasn't even coming at you, man. He was throwing a fucking dolly at. He's going after Khabib. She's acting like someone tried to fucking run on the bus and just rob all the fighters or some shit. But listen, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna. It's annoying as fuck. I roll my eyes most of the time when I read some of these articles and some of the things that she says. But that's her though, and I'm cool with that. I respect that. That's what she's got going on in her life and in her head. So
everyone handles things.
The decision she makes based off of that, whatever, it's fine. So they'll just move along. But yeah, that division, man, they definitely need these women to come up quick, and they have some like legit up and comers in that division. But at the top, man, they got to start filling. They got to start filling them in. And I know like Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Ribas will go a long way to doing that. Especially if Ribas wins. I think if Ribas wins, man, she's up there in top 5 guaranteed. So and then
they got a ton of people coming up. Obviously, Tatiana Suarez was removed from the rankings.
Yeah,
it looks like, but
rightfully so. I feel bad for her, but rightfully so.
Yeah, but once she comes back, if she'll ever be healthy enough to come back, I know she's another big name coming up. But it just sucks not having Rose up there. It sucks because Rose is. I truly think Rose could be a great, like a female great.
Yeah.
But it seems like her mental health has gotten in the way of that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so.
Yeah, the mental health, her mental has held her back.
The problem is though, the UFC, if she's not going to fight for a title and she's going to keep knocking off contenders, the UFC is not going to fucking let her fight that much anymore. They're not going to let her take that gatekeeper role. She's still better than all these chicks coming up. So
yeah, they're just gonna start giving her killers. Is what they're just gonna get annoyed and just give her killers.
for sure. But even then, if she's knocking those people off, I would
Yeah,
not be surprised if the UFC cut her.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
12 o'clock.
Turn that
Yeah,
thing
who
off.
knows?
Would you?
But no, I just said who knows. Well, I don't know what they're gonna end up doing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. That's another big one that came out of that where I'm like, it's unfortunate. It sucks to see, but it is what it is. The last thing is that he confirmed Dana White. This is a super quick one. Confirmed that the middle of the year, the Ultimate Fighter will be filming in the middle of 2021. So I think
Mhm.
that's super interesting. I know they do tend to like to do it over the summer. So, but obviously everyone's excited. Tough is back, but uh, in terms of coaching, that kind of throws in a wrench. I have no clue who the coaches will be. I thought for sure it was going to be Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns, but that fight should have already happened by that point. So, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have to see.
yeah. I don't know who it's gonna be, but I'm happy it's coming back though. I think they'll get some decent viewership from it for sure. Especially it's probably gonna be on ESPN Plus. But reality TV if they do it the right way, add a couple different things to it, and mainly with the fighters, if they can get some legit fighters and shit. I think it's good for ESPN Plus and for the UFC.
Yeah, they can just, I mean, they can make it a series that will be kind of just like a Mandalorian, that type of thing, where people are going to watch it every week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's huge for them. It's huge for ESPN Plus, and having that tough kind of reboot. I wonder if they're going to use it for champions that are lesser names, like the Piotr Jans or the Kamaru Usmans.
Yeah.
You want them to be big stars because they're legit fucking really good, but they don't have as much popularity as other people. Or if they're going to use it, they might use it for contenders. I wonder if they might just do coaches are contenders.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
it'll be very interesting with that. But other than that, I got nothing else. You seem like you're tired as hell. So
Oh yeah, I am, man, for sure.
I do want to say, go ahead with what you're going to say.
No, I was just gonna say obviously looking forward to the card coming up
Say too.
on Saturday. But it's stacked. I mean, this card is absolutely stacked, man. It's insane. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that all the fights hold up with COVID and all that shit. COVID doesn't knock out. I know we lost Bilal Muhammad. That sucked. I always love watching him fight, but other than that, I mean, it's still a stacked card, and hopefully these guys end up all testing negative, and we could still get 15 fights on this card.
For sure. Yeah.
And then, man, a nice little 3-4 week break, man. It's like I've been waiting for this shit with typing up these articles and whatever, just having to focus on betting in general, just even outside of this, looking at all these fucking cards. Just need like a nice little break, a few weeks, couple, whatever it is. I think it's a month break. So yeah, looking forward to that for sure.
Me too. Yeah, I think it's a good thing to end the year off. I mean, for if anything else, Dana White needs a fucking break.
Yeah.
Going on this busy year. But yeah, I think a lot of people need this break, especially in this industry where we can just kind of relax and not have to write a bunch of shit or talk about a bunch of shit.
Yeah, it's because you watch it. You watch the fight on Saturday. You have to react to it. Actually for it's like 2-3 days of react, and then boom, right away you have to jump into the next card.
Yep.
Which is 3-4 days later. So yeah, man, it'll be nice. Don't get me wrong, I love the weekly UFC events. I like how they grew to that. And Dana always said that that's what he envisioned, that there would be fights every weekend, every day, but he had, and this was years ago. I'm talking like fucking 4 years ago or whatever it was. He envisioned that, and man, that they're pretty much to that point now. There's only a few breaks in the schedule, and even when there's breaks, it's only for a few weeks. So I do love the action. I love being able to have fucking minimum like 10 fights to bet on it if I want. but it's more about just it's more about the writing aspect, the podcast, that type of shit. It gets to be taxing, but
Yeah.
whatever. I'm having fun. I enjoy it still too, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I love it. I think the only thing is some people, after a long time, it starts to burn people out.
Yeah.
Just where it's a good thing, I think, for the UFC to build some more, to have that month off. They build a lot of energy towards, especially McGregor coming back. Um, kind of builds that fandom back. Like, oh shit, they feel fight deprived.
Yeah.
They need to watch those fights. Other little odds and ends. I love the UFC's 0.08 positive test. Amazing. That's amazing. But of course, ultimately, no one's gonna give them that type of credit. I know. I mean, people might fucking hate me just for even bringing it up. People like to hate on the people being successful, but it is what it is. I think phenomenal that they should be commended for that. I think the UFC should be commended for what they were able to do in the pandemic. And the bottom line is they did not hurt anybody. They did not risk anyone's lives like everyone said they would. They were. Um, they did it exactly how they should have done it. So that's been phenomenal. And then it comes down to the last thing really we have to say is we're doing an award show. Um, I don't know. I know it seems like Mean Gene's very excited for it right now, but
Yeah, it's a long whatever. It's midnight here, so I'm tired, man. I'm ready for bed.
yeah. So we're doing the BPMG Gold Chain Awards. Better be wearing the gold chain too, because we're doing it.
Of course, I got it.
Just to pull the curtain back, I never fully passed that with Mean Gene, but I said we got to do it. So
I mean, I like it. Impromptu decision and name. So yeah, I like it. I do like it.
BPMG Gold Chain Awards. I like that. That's what we got to go with. I'm excited. I'm excited to do all of the editing and stuff. There's so much that we can do with that award show. And you heard it here. Like, remember this episode when I know a lot of people, hopefully that's the 13 listeners we got, can look back on this episode and say they were right. They spoke it into existence. But this award will be something that fighters will look for.
Oh my goodness, yeah,
This is
for sure.
This was the start of it. Just remember this. This is the start where we came up with the Gold Chain Award. It's ridiculous. It's funny. Only the true OGs of this show will know where that came from.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's obviously. I think it's pretty obvious that it's the UFC belt and then this award, which is the gold chain. So yeah, 100%. Like I said, this would be the first installment, and I'm looking forward to it. I know it doesn't sound like I am, but I'm looking forward to just working with you and figuring out, obviously standard awards, male, female fighters of the year,
yeah,
submission and knockout, but we'll have some fun ones in there too.
We'll come up with some creative.
Yeah.
And Mean Gene, we'll call him Mean Monotone Gene. We'll be back with I know I've been monotone this whole podcast as well.
Oh man, dude, we talked for too long before even doing the podcast, which
that's the problem.
That's what always happens. Like we never just jump right into it. So, but it was. I did up super early today and run some errands before work. So yeah, I'm definitely tired, man. So let's wrap this up. But at least we got another podcast coming out in like a week. Maybe we'll have a reaction video for this card, and then we can have the awards after that. But
yeah, we'll have at least 2 weeks. We're gonna next week. The card will react to it, talk about shit, whatever the normal stuff, and then the week after we'll do the award show. So we're gonna over that week talk about between ourselves awards that we'll come up with, and all that fun stuff. And then hopefully you guys enjoy that show. Kind of building up to that, and then we'll start off the year.
Yep.
I like also shit, man. On the middle of the podcast, we're brainstorming, but I would love to in the beginning of January look forward to what our predictions for the year. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
We'll do that as well. So
yeah, I like that. I like that 100%. Like who will be champ?
with these 4 weeks off, it's a perfect time when we can do that. So
All right, yeah, man, I like that. It's gonna be fun. It'll definitely be fun. So on that note, let me get the hell out of here.
that's good. So thank you to our sponsors. Don't gotta go through them. Look at the show notes. This was episode 26. Peace.
Peace.